It's hard for me to believe that it's been 50 years since I had the experience of being a ninth grade kid in Birmingham, Alabama, a kid who loved getting A's, a kid who loved math, who loved to read, a kid who would say to the teacher, when the teacher said, "Here are 10 problems to the class," this little fat kid would say, "Give us 10 more." And the whole class would say, "Shut up, Freeman." And there was a designated kicker every day. And so I was always asking this question, how could we get more kids to really love to learn? And amazingly, one week in church, when I really didn't want to be there, and I was in the back of the room being placated by doing math problems, I heard this man say this: if we can get the children to participate in this peaceful demonstration here in Birmingham, we can show America that even children know the difference between right and wrong, and that children really do want to get the best possible education. And I looked up and said, "Who is that man?" And they said his name was Dr. Martin Luther King. And I said to my parents, "I've got to go. I want to go. I want to be a part of this." And they said, "Absolutely not." And we had a rough go of it, and at that time, quite frankly, you really did not talk back to your parents. And somehow I said, "You know, you guys are hypocrites. You make me go to this, you make me listen, the man wants me to go, and now you say no." And they thought about it all night. And they came into my room the next morning. They had not slept. They had been literally crying and praying and thinking, will we let our 12-year-old participate in this march and probably have to go to jail? And they decided to do it. And when they came in to tell me, I was at first elated, and then all of a sudden I began thinking about the dogs and the fire hoses, and I got really scared. I really did. And one of the points I make to people all the time is that sometimes when people do things that are courageous, it doesn't really mean that they're that courageous. It simply means that they believe it's important to do it. I wanted a better education. I did not want to have hand-me-down books. I wanted to know that the school I attended not only had good teachers, but the resources we needed. And as a result of that experience, in the middle of the week, while I was there in jail, Dr. King came and said with our parents, "What you children do this day will have an impact on children who have not been born." I recently realized that 2/3 of Americans today had not been born at the time of 1963. And so for them, when they hear about the Children's Crusade in Birmingham, in many ways, if they see it on TV, it's like our looking at the 1863 Lincoln movie. It's history. And the real question is, what lessons did we learn? Well, amazingly, the most important for me was this: that children can be empowered to take ownership of their education. They can be taught to be passionate about wanting to learn and to love the idea of asking questions. And so it is especially significant that the university I now lead, the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, UMBC, was founded the very year I went to jail with Dr. King in 1963. And what made that institutional founding especially important is that Maryland is the South, as you know, and quite frankly, it was the first university in our state founded at a time when students of all races could go there. And so we had black and white students and others who began to attend. And it has been for 50 years an experiment. The experiment is this: is it possible to have institutions in our country, universities, where people from all backgrounds can come and learn to work together and learn to become leaders and to support each other in that experience? Now, what is especially important about that experience for me is this: we found that we could do a lot in the arts and humanities and social sciences. And so we began to work on that years in the 60s, and we produced a number of people in law, all the way to the humanities. We produced great artists. Beckett is our muse. A lot of students who get into theater. It's great work. The problem that we faced was the same problem America continues to face, that students in the sciences and engineering, black students, were not succeeding. But when I looked at the data, what I found was that, quite frankly, students in general, large numbers, were not making it. And as a result of that, we decided to do something that would help, first of all, the group at the bottom, African American students. and then Hispanic students. And Robert and Jane Meyerhoff, philanthropists, said, we'd like to help. Robert Meyerhoff said, why is it that everything I see on TV about black boys, if it's not about basketball, is not positive? I'd like to make a difference, to do something that's positive. We married those ideas, and we created this Meyerhoff Scholars Program. And what is significant about the program is that we learned a number of things. And the question is this: how is it that now we lead the country in producing African Americans who go on to complete PhDs in science and engineering and MD PhDs? That's a big deal. Give me a hand for that. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. It really is.